Hi all, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to talk about the Montblanc JFK. I'm going to switch gears a little bit from my last two videos where I talked about the inexpensive Lamies and Pilot fountain pens. This is a pretty expensive fountain pen, but I've had it for a couple of months and I've been dying to talk about it. I'll just briefly go into why I bought this. Really, it's not my style. I'm not really into cigar shaped pens, but when I saw this, it reminded me of, I guess I was about 10 years old. My grandmother was telling me the story of the day that JFK was assassinated and how she'll never forget where she was and that sort of thing. And my grandmother was never political, not super emotional, not really one to have her emotions on her sleeve. But I remember her being really emotional when she was telling me this story. And JFK was a little bit before my time, just a little bit. But I just remember, I'll never forget that day when she was telling me that story. I don't remember how it came up, probably from a history lesson I had that day or something. I probably asked her about it and she told me about it. So when I saw this, it reminded me of her and that day. I'm not super political either. I'm in the middle. But like I said, it really reminded me of that day. And my grandmother was the one that got me into this pen habit. I used to go into her purse and steal her pens and draw with them. I think she got tired of it. So when I was about 13, she gave me my first cross pen. And we were super poor. So for me to get that pen, I mean, I was just over the moon. And ever since, I've been loving cross pens and loving pens in general. So again, when I saw this, I thought of her, and it took me a while to get it because $816 or $1,000 for a pen was for one pen. It took me a minute, but I kept coming back to it, and so here we are. So as far as the specs, this is the burgundy one. They also have a blue one that is in honor of his time in the Navy. But this burgundy one is in honor of his time at Harvard. So it is made of what Montblanc describes as precious resin with platinum plated gold tone metal material. And this is their Great Characters series. They have, I remember Marilyn Monroe, and that's the only one I can think of right now, but they have a few other great character editions. The nib, my nib is a fine nib. It's handcrafted, 585 gold. It's a 14 karat, which means it's 14 karat, so it has 585 parts gold out of the 1,000 total alloy materials. And this does have a rhodium finish. It is about 5.8 inches long. And you can see there it has JFK on there. And on the band, there are 3 bands, again platinum plated, and the 3 are in honor of his 3 brothers, Joseph, Teddy, and Robert. And see, I'm one of those ones that don't take their stickers off. So it does this a screw cap. So there's the nib. Somewhere it's going to say 14 karat and the 585. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a engraving in it, in there, in honor of his project, the moon landing project that happened in 1969. So there's a engraving of the lunar module on there. I don't know if you can see it. Beautiful nib, big nib. And as far as I couldn't find any information on the feet. It feels like it's plastic. But that's the feed. That's the section. And metal threads. And some gold accents back here. And of course, the Montblanc. It does not post. You hear that? It just kind of sits there. So it doesn't post. Which is fine, because I think if it did, it'd be, I don't know, I think it would be a little too heavy. The pen itself it's not super heavy, but it is built like a tank. So that is the Montblanc JFK. I'll make sure I got all of the specs. It is a piston filler. It is a piston filler. No ink window, but you screw this here, and the piston fills. So I'm gonna show you the box. It's a very, of course, as you can imagine, very swanky box. It's a good size box. Nothing here. This is just my, I bought it from an Italian dealer, so this is just my custom stuff. So there's Montblanc Homage to JFK Special Edition. These are a limited edition, but I don't know. I just have a number. Made in Germany. You see, it's fine. That 1018, I don't think that's the number. I think there are much more than 18 of these around. Again, Homage JFK. And inside of here, it's very soft material. There's nothing under, but very soft. You could sleep on this. You know, if you were gerbil size, you could probably sleep very comfortable in there. So that's that. And then here is Montblanc. And this is my number. And Burgundy Red Fountain Pen, fine nib, when I purchased it, who I purchased it from. And it goes into, there are multiple languages in here. Shows you some writing styles, how to write, nib exchanges, how to fill it. There's the blue one, which is also really, really pretty. And this goes into the moon landing. I was talking about some more about him, his politics, his family, Miss Bobby and Teddy, and yeah, nice booklet. Again, it reminded me of my grandmother. I will weigh this one. Like I said, it's not super heavy. So this is, I think it's fully inked. I added some more ink to it before I came in. So that's 43.7 grams. And uncapped, it is only 25. So this is a heavy cap. Heavy cap. And I didn't store it overnight because this is an impromptu, but I did store it for a couple hours, and there's just a little bit of leakage in the cap. So I don't imagine that this would, you know, do a lot of leaking. It's a Montblanc after all. And so to compare it to a few of my other pens as far as size, it's the baby sister, the Montblanc Meisterstück 144 is a TWSBI 580, Lamy, and my beloved Pilot Elite. So this is a lot smaller, and so is this, of course. So I'll put those to the side. It's longer than just a little bit longer than the TWSBI. And well, TWSBIs don't really post, but since this doesn't post either, I guess it doesn't matter. So it's a little short when it's not capped. So there it is with the Lamy. So it's the pretty short bodied. So we'll move on to the writing. So like I've said, I've had this pen for a couple months, going on 3 months actually. And trying to, see what I think about it as far as the writing experience, so I can give an accurate review here. So I'm gonna go into this. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm using Tomoe River paper today. So the pen is the Montblanc Great Characters, John F. Kennedy. The ink that I'm using today is Diamine Green Black. And again, this nib is a fine 14 karat gold. And it does have some flex. Nice line weight, and it's a pretty wet writer. And it's super smooth and reverse, so you get a nice, see this, although this says fine, it feels like a medium. This right here feels fine to me, but I guess that's Montblanc. So with my left hand, I'll do some pros and cons. So for a lefty, since it's such a wet writer, like I've said in some other videos that have wet writers, it may not be good for the people that write on the side, because if you can see here, the lines that I drew, they're still wet. These lines here are still wet. So pros, it's a good weight, and I'm on caveat that it's good weight uncapped. It gets a little heavy when you cap it. I think the looks are classy. It has some history to it, and for me, it has a sentimental value. As you can see, it's a nice writer. It's smooth, but with just a little bit of tooth, if that makes any sense. It's smooth, but it's not ultra smooth. It is a piston filler, so I do think this holds a good amount of ink. It didn't say how much. Nice flex to the nib. And it is skipping a little bit, but that's me. It's built like a tank. So yeah, I mean, that's it. Cons, I'm gonna go with the full price that I've been seeing, 1125. I think for this, it's over. I would say it's overpriced for what it is. I think that if you don't have a sentimental attachment to this pen like I do, like it brings back good memories, unless you're a JFK fan or a Montblanc fan or you're super rich, I can't see paying that much for it. I was crazy to pay $800 for it, but it is what it is. There is no ink window. I have no idea how much ink is in here, but that's the way it is sometimes. As far as the comfort, I wish there was a little bit more lip here. It's kind of straight. And I can feel the threads. After writing with this for a while, I can feel the threads on my fingers. And they are a little rough on the fingers. And something that I find odd, I don't know if this is a thing with Montblanc in general, but it only has a 2-year warranty, which is, for a $1,000 pen, it seems kind of crazy. But I mean, the way it's built, I'm assuming that you really won't need service. Although the feed, the sections here they're really thin. So yeah, I'd be careful with those. Try not to bang it up against anything, but for the most part, it's a quality pen. But I just wanted to show that and to share a little bit of my history, my experience as a kid, and my love for my grandma, my mom, and my grandfather. They raised me, and so yeah. So I definitely think of her when I write with this, and just so grateful that I have the means to purchase this. But I'm gonna write one last thing. I'm gonna write a JFK quote. You probably, if you're old enough, can probably know what quote I'm gonna write here. It's his most famous quote, I would think, and that's the ask not what your country can do for you, and I'm gonna switch hands because that's what I do here. Ask you can do country. So again, thanks everyone who's been watching and commenting and subscribing. I believe 106 subscribers now. It's amazing. My first subscriber was myself. I think I mentioned this in an earlier video. Was myself. I was my only subscriber for the longest time when I had just my art up, and then Rob MC subscribed after I started doing my pen videos, and it's taken off, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all your sharing your experience with your pens. I respond to everyone, and I really just want to be helpful, and I hope this is more helpful than me showing off, my pens. I never wanted to be that, but until next time, I hope everyone is doing well and safe. I think I have the virus, but I am doing well I am sweating like a pig, but I feel great. I just feel like I have a cold. But since I had to take off today, but I do a pen video. So again, till next time, take care, stay safe.